Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some very interesting news because we finally hit the very first ever game to go hit on the PlayStation 5 in 8,000 resolution. And overall, this kind of been making some pretty cool buzz because the game itself is a pretty nifty and kind of cool looking stylistic game. And they did do a lot of really good mumbo jumbo to actually make an 8K resolution even happen. And as I mentioned, this is the very first ever game that is finally able to go hit these extremely high rates. So we're going to go and show you guys up some gameplay. We're going to talk about how it's actually kind of cool, and as well just the origin of it, and as well what game it even is in the first place. So if you guys will sit back, relax, and enjoy. As well, if any of you guys are brand new, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 disc, digital console, and controller. Twitter and Twitch stream as well, link down below. And of course, sign up for Weeble, deposit $100, you guys go get that free stack and free money. Just simply go and sell if you guys want for that free monies. And let's go down the video itself. And of course, in terms of the game itself, leave your thoughts, comments, and all of that good old feedback mixed on in. So this is gonna be actually kind of a fun little video itself. I'm gonna go, like I said, show you guys up some gameplay. The game itself is from The Tourist, which was first released over on the Switch, funny enough, and then also on the Xbox. And this is also even kind of good for those really big console back and forth folks, where it actually is even doing better and optimized better and able to be utilized better on the PlayStation 5 due to all the really nice internals for the PlayStation 5 itself. So I actually might do something a little bit unique where I'll have the webcam off maybe throughout this, but let me go and show you guys up some gameplay itself. In case you guys are just kind of curious in the game, we have a lot of fun things to go and talk about all throughout this video. So if you guys will sit back and, like I said, relaxing on up, boys, enjoy. So we have, like I said, a lot of things to go and talk about all throughout this. So this is actually called The Tourist, which is, like I said, first released over on the PlayStation as well as on the Xbox as of this year, and originally up on the Switch itself. It did actually go make its way to the PS4 and PS5 too on top of that, and basically it's just a tropical adventure game that basically has a really kind of unique style to it. It's also its very first ever 8,060 FPS console game ever officially released. So all of us right now are actually kind of a part of a little bit of history. Now, of course, when it comes to a game like this, you can kind of somewhat like scheme it a little bit better because the graphics aren't as in-depth and a little bit more stylistic too as well. So it's not like a proper, true, like you're seeing the literal pores on someone's face type game, but it is actually a very cool game itself. Like, I like the idea that we actually finally get to utilize this higher resolution. Now, of course, due to a YouTube video, it's not going to have proper 8K, and even just able to utilize an 8K on a proper 8K TV is like tens of thousands of dollars for a proper good TV. But it's very cool that you actually had to have a chance to see this, and also somewhat future-proofed as well. So this also was developed by Shinin Multimedia, and it basically hit the Switch as of 2019, ended up on the Xbox One in 2020, and then basically there was a really new enhanced port on the Xbox Series X and S as a launch title. And basically all these were actually really cool, they were well received, and overall was really clean. But the one biggest thing too is the fact that they now have a chance to clean and optimize and utilize this really cool art style, and basically, with also some different types of hardware differences in the PS5, then they've basically been able to go and basically make it run on a native true 8,000 resolution. So basically this could actually be run internally with the internal resolutions of those crazy numbers of like just 8K. It's insane over there too. This has been confirmed by various other really big media sources out there, and especially Digital Foundry, who has been doing God's work in terms of PlayStation 5 internals and testing all this type of stuff too as well. And even a quote for them basically says, the devs have basically achieved this remarkable performance milestone with no temporal super sampling, checkerboarding, DLSS like upscaling, or any of these other like kind of weird schemes they can kind of go and do. As you guys even see, sometimes you also have like proper upscaling, proper downscaling, and sometimes also somewhat like not true native 8K. Same thing we see a lot with not true proper 4K. You can kind of scheme the system a little bit over here too as well. But the game actually is able to be ran in 8K 60 FPS, which, as you guys have probably seen, is somewhat unheard of. Now, once again, it is a little bit more on the voxel slash like kind of cutesy art style. So I'm more, I want to go and see something like a Horizon or an Uncharted in 8K first of all. But at least for this, especially more of like an indie developer type company, you got to give them some credit. It's actually really cool too as well. So Digital Foundry actually even made some really cool kind of features, a little bit more depth on that too, and how it's able to run on 8K. So basically the game itself actually is running in that full 8K res, but basically a lot of the TVs are more so presenting it up just in 4K. So, because this is what we usually have. But I think 4K is kind of the industry standard as of right now. So basically, as of right now, the PlayStation 5 actually doesn't even utilize 8K support, which is not that weird because the amount of people, and I'm sure you watching this video, probably don't have an 8K TV or like an 8K monitor, etc. I even myself, I'm kind of a techie guy. I have a 3080 PS5, etc. And even I don't have an 8K output itself. But this, so I'm not going to judge the PS5. They kind of even publicly said they're pushing more for 4K. Same with the Xbox Series X's too as well. Now, they actually do want to go and say maybe in the future they can. There's nothing wrong with that. But as of right now, Sony hasn't patched the console to go support the higher resolution as of yet. It always could be happening in the future. And also, that is kind of a nice thing too, because a lot of people are like, so if you can't even utilize the 4K, you can't even like play the game in 4K, what's the point of it? Or in 8K, what's the point of playing it when it's in 4K when you're supposed to be rendering in 8K? But basically, a lot of devs are actually using a lot more of the internal res as a form of super sampling anti-aliasing. So basically, it just means that the graphics on the screen, even though it may not be a pure 8K game itself, looks a lot better in 4K because it's just a lot more rounded, it's a lot more crisp, it's a lot more like just, it's a very clean experience for the game itself. And you guys can probably even see from this, and there's only like a 1080, it just looks like a very clean style game, which is very, very nice to go and see. So the game itself does go and actually does, like, you know, support the 4K. It plays in 4K from the 8K downscale down. But like I said, it's kind of a nice thing to go and see. And of course, whenever the PlayStation 5 does go and choose to go and utilize the 8K features, that means this will be the proper first game in 8K 60 FPS. And of course, like, who doesn't like having the idea of like sitting on a Hawaii beach and going from there? As well as also should only be kind of be like a kind of a somewhat smaller patch to even make that happen in the first place, because if you have enough fancy enough TV, the actual internals are already there. It's kind of like if you have like a Blu-ray player, more like a Blu-ray disc, you just don't have the Blu-ray player, you have like an old DVD player, all you have to do is basically just have the technology to go use the Blu-ray player. Well, that was an okay analogy or not. But basically right now, it's a really cool feature because they are utilizing the higher 8K going on, and to basically make the game look great. Like, that's kind of like the end-all be-all for this. Like, they're basically future-proofing, and even with that future-proof, it's still going to make the game look extremely nice in 4K too as well. And one kind of little fun thing too, as I mentioned, basically the previous Xbox Series X version of the game only runs at a 6K resolution on the Xbox Series X version, and basically other devs are even explaining to even Digital Foundry and other people who have been doing a lot of research on this, because this is kind of like a pretty big achievement. You got to go give it to it. Over there, they're basically able to go and stretch the engine just a little bit more and a little bit better in comparison to the Xbox Series X, because the PS5 does have a faster GPU and memory. So basically, because of the better, like the very slightly more optimized PS5 internals, it is able to go pull off this 8K resolution, which once again, it'd probably look a lot better in proper native 4K or proper native 8K if we were able to have the TV to go and see it. But as of right now, even looking at the gameplay itself, it does look extremely nice and extremely beautiful in the background. So it's very, very nice to go and see. And because of all the really nice, better, like, internal resolutions with the PS5 version compared to the Xbox Series X, there actually is some pretty big improvements in both the shadows and depth of field effects, and just overall just is a little bit of a cleaner game in general, which is very, very nice too as well. And of course, too, when it comes to stuff like utilizing 8K, now, do many people have this, even watching this video, have an 8K TV? Realistically, probably not. But if you have bought a TV in the past, like 5 years, you probably do have a nice proper 4K TV, which, once again, if we start seeing more of a bigger trend of these really either small or big game studios developing and making media for the 8K resolution, that's just overall nicer for us. For number one, the longevity of our consoles, basically able to go and just future-proof games, and say like 2 or 3 years from now when the PS5 or Xbox wants to push for an 8K native standard, it'll make everything a lot easier for all of us to basically go be able to use it, and also has its own benefits even if you're even playing just on like 1080p, which is great to go and see. But the one kind of thing that does kind of stink is that whenever we kind of get to these next level of resolutions, it does take a pretty long time for the industry to, number one, make it go and be cost effective, and number two, be widespread available, and then number three, which I feel like we almost never have number threes in my types of videos. Usually stops at 1, if that. Basically, it's also going to have to bring down the cost too as well to go and be able to utilize this and just make it like so everyone has an 8K TV. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think the game is cool? I think it's especially nifty that it started off as a Switch game and kept on getting systematically better and better and better when it came from the Xbox One to the Xbox X and now the PlayStation 5. And whenever we see these kind of devs that are able to pull this type of stuff off and utilize these next-gen consoles, that is what we want. That is the end goal, and that is what we all want to go and see. Which I love just seeing this in the first place. So if you guys want to give your thoughts on the game, thoughts on the fact that we finally go hit a 8K resolution 60 FPS game, be excited with this because this is finally getting to the future of gaming. Now, of course, once again, do I wish it was kind of like a Horizon or Uncharted? Yes, but you got to go and, well, slowly work up to that one. So hope you guys all enjoyed this video, this little publication over here. I appreciate you all so much for watching. We do have the gameplay over here. This is from Just One Gamer, and also a bit of references over from the Kotaku article too as well for some stuff that we kind of mentioned for this. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. This is really cool and really nifty, and you want to know what? Kind of makes me want to go and have a Mai Tai on the beach. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 disc, digital console, and controller. Twitter and Twitch stream as well, link down below. Sign up for Weeble, deposit $100. You guys go get free stack and free money. Coinbase, you guys go buy $100 worth of any cryptocurrency. You guys go and get free Bitcoin. And of course, I appreciate you guys all so much watching. See you guys up in the next one. Love you guys.